It's time for ROTD Weekend. Since we are still at the beginning of the new year, 2025, I wanted to take this opportunity to get in touch with you a little bit about where you would like to go with me this year in terms of cooking, but maybe in terms of other things, who knows? But really to start with, in terms of the kinds of recipes that I am cooking, what I'm testing, what I'm bringing to you on this show and on the websites. And also, I'd love your input about the kinds of guests you'd like me to be talking to. Who do you want to hear from? What topics are inspiring you right now? I would love your input on where this whole thing should be going on Cook the Story, The Cookful, and on this podcast, Recipe of the Day. So I've done a little survey. It's super quick and easy. It is at cookthestory.com/2025cooks. So cookthestory.com/2025COOKS. You head there and you can let me know what you want to see in the year ahead. And I am super excited. I know, I can tell you a little bit about where I am already heading, but I don't know if that's going to mesh with what you want at all or not. So you could let me know that as well. But I've mentioned before that now that I have a teenager who can drive and is driving both of my kids a little bit, they are both just a little bit older, a little bit more independent, and a little bit more adventurous. It has given me both more time on my own and time to do things that I love, both just in normal, free, relaxing time, but also in the kitchen and cooking time. And also because they're a little bit older, their palate's getting a little bit more interesting and adventurous, I'm able to make more different and more interesting things for them. So I am playing around with those ideas, and you will see that on the survey as some of the options. But really, I want to see where you are and what you are looking for as well. Oh, I'll tell you another thing that I'm hoping to do a little bit more of is to talk to a few more people from the Florida area or a little bit more Florida topics. I know that listeners to this show are all over the place. We have a lot of Canadians, we have a lot of Brits, and we have people from all over the United States. But somehow I seem to neglect my own home where I live a little bit sometimes. And so I do want to get out a little bit more and have some guests from this area, which also might interest you if you are thinking of traveling here. I know, well, actually, my guest next week is talking a little bit about cruising, going on cruises in a cooking related way, though I promise she is a bona fide, amazing food blogger. Oh, I'll just tell you who it is because you probably already know her and she's amazing. I'm talking to Kathy Hester she's from all over the place and you probably see her in many, many places, but her first blog was healthyslowcooking.com, and she has a new, really exciting YouTube venture that involves travel and cruising. So I'm talking to Kathy next week, and she went on a cruise recently out of Fort Lauderdale. So that's how that's related to Florida. And today, in the weird and wonderful world of Florida that I live in, there are weird and wonderful things going on. And my guest, Billy Floyd from Kitchenkillaz.com, is the perfect example of that. Billy has quite an interesting business, and he is here to tell us all about it. So here we are, January, new things, maybe a little extra focus on Florida. Let's listen to my conversation with Billy Floyd from Kitchenkillaz. Billy Floyd, welcome to the show.
Hey, Christine, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
I am doing great. I'm excited to talk with you. You have a very interesting, I want to say, website name, business name, Kitchenkillaz. Can you tell us what that is?
Absolutely. We have a little bit of an elevator pitch. So we're classified as a touring acoustic project crashing kitchens around the country. We do it on Fridays and we do it for free. So essentially what we've been able to do is we've been able to create stages in your kitchen, use your kitchen as a place to feature food and culinary and recipes and originals and covers. and we share it with our Twitch followers, our Facebook followers, and our YouTube followers. And we travel to remote kitchens, and we also do shows in our home studio. And over the past 8 years, we've been in about 300 plus kitchens around the country.
That is crazy. So you're coming like a band and you set up in people's kitchens.
Yeah, it's actually just me. So I'm a solo musician. I travel with my merchandise manager, Michelle, and she helps me manage all of the business cards, the handshakes during the show. A lot of times people are very interested in how they can get involved. How do they get me in their kitchen, or how do they get a seat in my kitchen? So she's very, very good at helping that communication stay strong. But there's really just two of us. So I'm a live solo acoustic musician. And then, yes, I perform in, for example, Christine, your kitchen. You'd invite your friends. We would feature some delicious food. Sometimes the host wants to cook. Sometimes we'll bring a chef with us. Sometimes there's a local eatery you may love, and we'll reach out to them and see if they will provide some food for the evening. So we can give them a little bit of marketing, a little bit of love. We introduce people to the new food, sometimes to food from around the world. And then we're fortunate enough to be able to play some live acoustic music covers and a lot of originals, because I do write a lot.
Oh, that is so cool. So you are playing while people are cooking or while people are eating, and everything's happening symbiotically, like at the same time. Are you
Correct.
feeding off of each other? Like, sorry,
Yeah,
pun intended,
exactly.
unintended. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I love puns. A lot of times, especially when we have a night where there are several dishes, what we'll do in between each song is we'll introduce a dish and we'll chat a little bit about it. We'll tease it. We'll talk about where it came from, where the recipe came from, how people can get the ingredients, and then we walk people through exactly how to make every dish independently that evening. So if we have 5 courses, in between each song, we're talking about each course as we go throughout the night.
I love it. That is so much fun. And you do this all across the country?
Yeah, we travel everywhere. So as far as we are invited, we have actually been invited to a couple different continents as well, but we're trying to figure out, because we do this for free, we're trying to figure out how to be able to cover the cost for us to travel to Ireland, for us to travel to Trinidad, we've been invited to travel to Holland, we've been invited to. We've been invited to the UK a couple times, Italy a couple times, but right now we are continental based.
That is so exciting. So, okay, you've been to all of these kitchens. Do you have some favorites that you can tell me about?
Oh, for sure. So I have favorites and I have very memorable ones. So I'd say let's go with a favorite. I think a favorite would be a good place to go. And again, over the last 8 years, a lot of kitchens. So one of our favorites was Lisa Daly in Okeechobee, Florida. And she was extremely excited to have us up there, and she loved barbecue. So she was working really hard at putting all of these menu items together and getting all of these dishes prepared. And she was just super, super excited to have us. And we don't necessarily know the number of people we're stepping into. We don't know, because we just travel just our team. We don't invite anybody else. But we do encourage the host, invite as many people as possible. So sometimes we're looking at maybe 5 people, 10 people. This one specifically, I think she had over 30 people in her kitchen, which was absolutely outstanding. And she has one of those warm Southern drawls. She's a very, very loving person. And it was one of those where it didn't really feel like when it was time to go, we really didn't want to go. There was so much health. There was so much love. Everybody was singing along. The food was amazing. The desserts were absolutely fantastic. And I didn't realize how much Lisa Daly loved brownies. So it was very interesting. She could not wait to talk about these brownies, and I knew that. So I kept kind of drawing out the other dishes, talking about the beans a little bit, talking about the ribs a little more. And she was so excited to talk about these brownies. So when she finally got on, she was giddy. She was like a child that walked into Toys R Us for the very first time, just completely amazed. And she had such a good time, just a lot of love, a lot of positivity. She had everybody singing along. We did really well that night. She encouraged everybody to book us in their kitchen. She encouraged everybody to invest in merchandise. We had just had a new album out as well. And I would say it was the warmth of Lisa and how welcoming she was to bring us into her home, because we're in these people's homes. We're in their fortress of solitude, their place of comfort. And she was so excited. She was so motivated. And it was really, really a very healthy and heartwarming experience to have. And we've had a lot of those, but Lisa Daly, she is an absolute angel, and that is right up there with the top.
Oh, that's so lovely. I love hearing about that. She sounds really remarkable and fun and sweet. Yeah. What about, okay, kitchen mishaps? You're in there. You're in the way ish. You're playing music, things going on. Has anything ever gone wrong?
There was one time that a young lady had actually asked us to go over and perform on a Friday night, and it was her husband's birthday, but she did not tell her husband. So he was not aware that we were coming. And he had spent the entire day partying, maybe a little bit, pre-gaming for quite some time. So when we got there, on a scale of 1 to 10, he was probably at a 5 or 6, which is okay. We can manage it. Most of his friends were also there as well. So we're in the middle of the set and we have the camera facing us to where you could see the entire kitchen behind us. And there were a couple of his friends that were having a good time. They were going in and out of the refrigerator with different Halloween masks on. One time, a guy took his shirt off and he put like the mask from Scream on, and he nonchalantly walked over to the refrigerator, opened it up, and started doing a little sexy dance in front of the refrigerator, which was happening literally right behind me while I'm singing these heartfelt songs by Goo Goo Dolls. So that was kind of funny. We encouraged that stuff. There was one moment that just on the other side of the camera, he was standing with his wife, and it was almost as somebody flipped off his power switch. He was standing there with a drink and he just collapsed. He just fell and hit the ground so hard. Now, as a performer, I've been doing this for very long. Our job is to keep going. He has his wife there, his friends there to help him out, to make sure, and this is the birthday boy, to make sure he's okay. They stand him back up and he's right back in the game again. He's okay. Everything's fine. The power has apparently come back. He cracks open another beer and starts having another one. Within a couple minutes, he walks out onto the back patio to grab something and he left the sliding glass door open. A friend of his didn't know that he was out there. So he closed the sliding glass door.
Oh, no.
The birthday boy, who did not know the glass door was closed, was running at a very high speed to come back into the house. And he hit this glass door so hard, it shook the house. You could hear it on camera. And everybody just stopped. The music stopped. It was that very, very quiet moment, as if a stranger has walked into a bar they've never been in before. Everything stopped. The house finally stopped shaking. And then we picked up the song right away, got right back into it. No big deal. We thought that was the end of it. Oh, no, no, no. The show is over. I'm saying goodbye to the host. Behind me is the rest of the house, and it goes out to their back pool patio. So he decides to jump into the pool, apparently the shallow end, head first.
Oh, no.
Bad idea. A friend takes him out of the pool, sets him down in a chair, and is kind of like looking at the top of his head. And as he leans his head back, he leans it toward us. So I say to the host, I say, I'm sorry, but I think your husband's bleeding a little bit. And she goes, oh, he's fine. He's fine. And I went, no, 100%. I really think you need to check this out. She turned around and saw the level of damage and said to me, I think it's time that you need to go. And I go, I agree 100%. Let me know if there's anything we can do. I love you. Thank you so much for having us. And I hope your husband had a safe birthday.
Yeah.
And I went home.
Yeah, I guess moral of the story is if you are going to book Billy, maybe it's a party, but doesn't have to be that much of a party.
Yes, 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 yes. Moderation, everything in moderation. I think it's a big part of it, but he wound up being okay. He was all right. He had to sleep it off for about 13 hours. But he was okay. And I will never, ever forget that kitchen.
No, yeah. No, and that's the thing, right? You're walking into these situations and it's other people's homes, lives, everything else. You don't know what's going to be going on. Well, so Billy, if somebody listening wanted to book you to crash their kitchen, how do they do that?
Kitchenkillaz@gmail.com is the best way to get in touch with us. We also have all of our social media, but we're extremely responsive to our email. We get back right away. We reach out with a couple available dates, and then we go over the basics. And again, we do this for free. We don't charge anything. The only thing that we ask is permission to set up a small merch table and to encourage people to buy our albums, our clothes, and we have a brand new cookbook that actually just came out today.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. So I should say we're talking in early December. This is going live early January though. So it'll have been out a little bit. What is the cookbook about?
The cookbook is it's a combination of 12 recipes from one of our partners, Chef Dane Brevoort. So he's crashed our kitchen many times. And I have always wanted to put together a Kitchen Killaz cookbook from some of the experiences in the kitchens that we have. So I was really happy to partner with Chef Dane, and he was super, super happy to get his first cookbook up and running. So we did a collection of 12 really, really beautiful recipes that he was able to put together. It is 50 pages. We have 10 stories of Kitchen Killaz as well, starting from our very, very first kitchen all the way 8 years later to our current kitchen.
Oh, that's so nice. Congratulations. Very exciting.
Thank you.
So, Billy, have you brought a recipe to tell me about today?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And I'm super, super excited to share this with you. This recipe is actually the cover photo for our cookbook.
Oh, is it in the
So
cookbook too?
it is. It is in the cookbook as
Oh,
well.
so
So,
nice.
oh, it's super, super cool. I spoke with Chef Dane yesterday, and I wanted to kind of talk to him about my idea for the recipe that we were going to provide for this show. And we decided we were going to go with his street tacos, which are absolutely out of this world.
Very cool. I love tacos. So what makes them street tacos?
So the street part is, and I'm not sure if you are familiar with street food. Like I love street food. So a lot of times street food is going to be something that is, it's easily prepared, it's easily mobile, and a lot of times you're going to have really, really fresh ingredients. Not a lot of storage for big freezers, big deep freezers. You just don't have that availability. So these are something that you would be able to find on the streets of amazing countries and cities that you walk to. Instead of walking into a restaurant, you would find a food vendor right on the side of the street with the tacos just like this.
Oh, so good. Okay. How do you start when you're making these ones?
The way that I do this is I let people know what they're getting into. So this will make about 12 to 15 tacos, and ultimately the entire process takes about 95 minutes.
Okay.
So we start with the ingredients. We start with 2 pounds of flank steak and just make sure you remove the silver skin. Then we create a homemade chimichurri sauce. So that's 1 cup of olive oil. It is 3/4 cup of a red wine vinegar, 2 jalapenos chopped up, 1 serrano pepper chopped. We do 5 cloves of garlic that are peeled, 1 shallot peeled and chopped. We do 1 cilantro bunch with no stems. You got to get rid of the stems. We also do 1 bunch of parsley, also no stems. We do 2 tablespoons of oregano, fresh oregano. If you can get a hold of fresh ingredients, I always, always, always recommend fresh ingredients. That is going to lead to the best quality dish you're going to be able to have. And we do 1.5 tablespoons of salt. That's just for the chimichurri sauce. So we also have a garnish on top of the tacos. We do a plum tomato, and that is a brunoise cut. We also do red onions, a small red onion, and that is a julienne cut. And then we do the cotija cheese, which is one of my favorite cheeses. I love elote, and when I discovered cotija cheese, I just fell in love with it. And we do those crumbled as well. For the shells, those are all again homemade. So we do 1 package. You could do it either way. You could do it homemade if you just want to grab a package. We're flour tortilla shells, and we use small. We do 2 tablespoons of butter and 1 tablespoon of olive oil. So those are all the ingredients that you're going to need for the combination of the flank steak, the chimichurri sauce, the garnish for the tacos, and then the shells. And again, it's up to you if you want to do corn shells, flour shells. But in this case, we used flour shells. So with the silver skin, take that off that flank steak. You want to remove the fat and silver skin from the steak and set that aside in a large bowl. In a medium bowl, you want to add your chimichurri ingredients. Blend with an immersion stick if you have until it's smooth. You can do it by hand, but I always recommend an immersion stick. Just go ahead and spend a little bit of money on Amazon. Go ahead and get it delivered to you.
Yeah.
2-day Prime. It's going to make your whole life a lot easier. You're going to take 1 cup of that chimichurri sauce over the steak, and you want to marinate it in the refrigerator for at least an hour. The marinating is extremely vital when it comes to something like this because you really want all those delicious flavors to soak into that protein.
Are you using the full amount of the chimichurri as a marinade, or some staying back to like drizzle later? Is it all going with the steak?
Right now, you just want to start with 1 cup.
Okay.
So you want to put 1 cup of the chimichurri sauce over the steak and marinate that. So you are going to save the other chimichurri sauce as we move forward because we're going to use that as a little bit of a topper later. It's such a versatile ingredient that you can kind of use it throughout the entire meal. So yeah, 1 cup of that over the steak, marinate that in the refrigerator for about an hour, and you want to save the remaining sauce to add to the tacos. The next step is to prepare your garnish by crumbling the cotija cheese, julienning the onion, and brunoising the tomato. Set that aside in individual containers. This is very important as well because you don't really necessarily want those colors or those flavors to blend yet. So set those aside in individual containers. You want to grill your marinated steak to your desired temperature. If you're going for medium rare, you're looking at about 135 degrees. And you want to take that off the grill and let it rest for 5 minutes. Letting a protein like this rest, as you know, Christine, is vital. It allows everything to absorb all that delicious juices back in, absorb that moisture back in. If you cut it too soon, you're going to see that you're going to lose a lot of that delicious flavor. One of the rules is somebody said, I've heard before, to let it rest as long as it cooked. So it's very, very important to let that rest. To prepare your taco shells, you want to lightly brown one side of the flour tortilla in butter and oil on medium-low heat. Once done, remove it and place it in a taco holder. This is going to help it build its shape as it cools. Take your steak, you want to slice that real thin against the grain and place the slices into the tortilla shells. Garnish the tacos by adding a spoonful of that chimichurri sauce, the cotija cheese, the onion slices, the tomatoes, and you're ready to rock and roll.
Oh, that's amazing. And I can totally see how like you get everything ready and then it's like that street food assembly. People could like make their own, or you can be doing it kind of for them as though you're like the street food vendor. Totally works, right?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that we always encourage is we encourage people to try them, try different things, especially try new things, try things you haven't had before. When we crash a kitchen, especially when we bring a chef with us, we're there as a knowledge base as well. We're not just there to create the food, but we want to walk people through why these ingredients, why did you add this, why this much, what does this add? I've never tried this before. What can I expect when I try this? And it's interesting to have two completely independent flavors that create something completely different when you put them together. So we always recommend people to kind of try it on their own and try new things. But in this case, these street tacos make it really, really easy to set up, very similar to what you're talking about. Somebody can go up and they can add cotija if they want to. If they want a little more tomatoes, they can do that as well. But in this specific recipe, I've had these tacos twice. They are absolutely out of this world. And the homemade tortillas are the way to go.
Oh, very cool. Well, thank you so much. They sound delicious, street food tacos. Billy, can you let people know where they can find you if they want to? Like we've talked about booking the kitchen. You can tell me that again, but also if they want to see this in action, where should they go?
Oh, we could be found on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram as well. Everything is under Kitchen Killaz. It's one word with an A-Z at the end. Kitchen Killaz. We stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And so you could find us in different kitchens on Wednesdays at 9:05. We do interviews for the upcoming chef on Mondays at 7:05. And our Wednesday shows are primarily for our Patreon users. That's how we pay for this entire project, is through our Patreon. So a lot of people are always wondering, how can we help? How can we donate? How can we pay you since you do this all for free? Through merchandise, album sales, book sales, but mainly our Patreon providers. And they get brand new songs first. They get new kitchens, new recipes, new covers. They were with me until the entire unveiling of our brand new album. So they got to hear all the stems, the scratch tracks, the recordings. They were with us the entire step of the way. So it's really, really interesting to have such a close-knit community that also is able to celebrate music, food, and community, which is what our entire project is based on.
Oh, I love it. So cool. And it sounds like you're building such a great community, Billy. It's really great. Congratulations and congratulations on the cookbook.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thanks so much.
You too, Christine. Stay out of trouble.
Wow. Well, I love me some tacos and street tacos in particular. Billy, thank you so much for the recipe and for joining me on the show today. That was a lot of fun. I hope you guys learned a little bit about Billy's business. Are you going to have him come crash your kitchen? I can't wait to find out. As to what is crashing my kitchen right now, I am doing a lot of testing, getting back into the swing of things now, finally. This week, I am doing a final test on some lamb loin chops. And, I'm doing some more lamb. I'm actually also doing a video for how to cut lamb rib chops, like the lamb lollipops, off of a rack of lamb, which might seem like a strange thing to do because you can usually get both like side by side. They're right there. But a couple months ago, the lamb racks were on sale at my grocery store. They were on BOGO, frozen ones, but I ended up buying them and cutting them into chops. And they were the best lamb chops that I've ever made, for sure. Possibly the best ones I've ever had. So now I want to show you how to cut those yourself. And once I get those cut, I am beginning some experimenting into whether they turn out good in the air fryer or not. How do lamb chops turn out in the air fryer? That is the question. So I don't know if that's going to turn into a recipe on the site or not, but I'm doing a first test. So that is what I am working on this week. As to what is going live on the sites this week, on Cook the Story, I have those salmon bites. I know I told you that I'd originally done the recipe and then I was was in a hurry and was making them for something else and didn't marinate them. And then I had to do the side-by-side test to see what was better, because I actually thought that not marinating them had turned out better than when they were just tossed with the marinade and cooked right away. And yeah, the side-by-side test found that they were better not marinated. So that recipe is going up on Cook the Story this week. That is for the salmon bites in like an Asian kind of sauce. And then on the Cookful, we have a cottage cheese queso. I'm going to say right off the bat that I don't think it tastes like queso, but it is the same basic idea and concept for the cottage cheese queso that has been going viral on TikTok and various places. And since I love cottage cheese and using it instead of like sour cream or mayonnaise in a whole bunch of stuff, like the whipped cottage cheese that went live last week. Also, I have a Green Goddess salad dressing and a Green Goddess dip all made out of cottage cheese. I do really, really like that. I'm a little bit obsessed with cottage cheese, actually. Because of that, I decided to do this queso recipe, and it is really, really great with tortilla chips. I think you're going to love that. So that is what's going live on the sites this week. And then what I'm talking about on this podcast, on Recipe of the Day, the first thing tomorrow, I am so very, very excited about this. This is the crispy brined chicken wings that I have put through a whole bunch of testing. After first discovering it a while ago, there was a recipe for it on Cook the Story because I do all the brining over there. But then I really wanted to start like comparing it and getting into whether it is better to do this brined version rather than my normal baked baking powder wings. And I do think this is the best baked chicken wing recipe I've ever made, for sure. And I think the best I've ever had. I mean, this competes with like restaurant style deep fried wings even, because they're brined. So they're like nice and seasoned right through. And then the baking powder is in the brine and it makes the skin extra, extra crispy. It's just really, really incredible. So I will be telling you about that tomorrow. We're also doing some more wings. Oh yes, it's like a whole week of wings, just about. There's a banana bread in there and then a whole lot of wings because we are gearing up for Super Bowl Sunday coming up in February, and also just all the game days. So there are some boneless wings. There is an amazing wing marinade, some lemon pepper wings. Those have baking powder in the mixture that you bake them in, so they get nice and crispy like that too. Oh, and really great barbecue wings. So just get ready. This is the week of wings, and I think you're going to have to make all of them. Okay, so that is what's going on. If you want to hear all those episodes, make sure you are subscribed. Go to cookthestory.com/ROTD on your phone, and you can subscribe across the top there, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc. Or use your phone, go to your favorite podcast app and search for Recipe of the Day. You will find me. I am everywhere. Don't forget to fill out that survey. It is cookthestory.com/2025cooks. I really want to know what kinds of recipes you want to see more of and what kinds of guests, who you want me to talk about, what kind of themes you want me to delve into. Let me know. cookthestory.com/2025cooks. I want to say a big thank you to Billy Floyd from kitchenkillaz.com. Go and check out his site and his various kitchen crashing adventures. And a big thank you to you for listening. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, the all new chicken cookbook, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great weekend. Let's get cooking.